welcome to another episode of Earning the Hate. Hey, young people. Okay, so let me get this straight. This is dash cam footage from a police car, government, trained to protect and serve, armed, two female quota hire officers. I'm sorry, two female police officers, two wannabe police officers who were female in a car, in a police car, on duty, marked unit, marked uniform. A poor black man's walking out of a business, minding his own business, and this is what happens.
Seen here in the blue shirt was struck but survived. A sedan pulled up in front of him. A man in the backseat hung outside the window.
So, the shooters, notice the shooters? They're looking over the marked unit. We call that a clue. They're looking at a marked police unit with two women in it, and they decide to go ahead and do the shooting anyway. And he still leans out and shoots this guy. He only, I guess, he does hit him, but he doesn't kill him. So I don't know what kind of gun he's got there. It looks like a some sort of, maybe a pistol AR or something. I'm surprised he hit him because he didn't, I mean, this dude started beating feet pretty quick.
A sedan pulled up in front of him. A man in the backseat hung outside the window and opened fire with the...
Look at these two guys. They're like, hey, there's two girls in that police car. They think they're real cops. Look at them. They're eating a donut. That one blonde is doing her nails. Yeah, look at that other girl fixing her hair. Damn, I wonder if they see us. We're in front of the police car. Okay, pop quiz. What do these two protecting and serve police officers do now? What do, people? They drive off. They actually almost hit the guy trying to run and get away from this car.
Semi-automatic rifle. All of it captured on police dash cam. The officers drove off, but at some point turned back around.
That means like 5 minutes later, they drove around a corner and said, wow, maybe we should go back. Should we call it in? What do we do? They gave this guy plenty of time to escape. The shooter went the wrong way, could have went out and killed someone else. Your tax dollars paying two women, because they're equal and just as powerful and just as good as any man, two women to sit in a patrol car and drive away as an unarmed citizen is getting shot. And you idiots out there will be like, we need more gun control. Only the government should have guns. We should give up our guns. That's a good idea. You're a freaking idiot. Are you kidding me? It's a crazy story.
And simply said it is not sitting well with them. The two officers in question are off the street.
Notice they're not saying the two female officers. That kind of gets snuck out in little bits and pieces.
The men involved in that shooting still on it. A Detroit cop is suspended, another on medical leave.
Did you hear that? One suspended and another's on medical leave. Rick, maybe she was sick. No, she's going to claim stress and get a 50% retirement, saying this job's too stressful and it's not fair and they can't fire her, so they will give her a lifetime retirement like 90% of the women in law enforcement. The percentages of women in law enforcement that make it to the end of retirement is outrageously low. And the percentage that go out early, usually as soon as they get a baby, it's too stressful, or after they take their maternity leave and get paid, then they say it's too stressful to come back, and of course all the guy officers have to pick up the slack while they're off using all their sick leave and baby leave and stress leave, like this woman. They can't suspend her because she went on sick leave because she's nervous and stressed. Oh, poor thing, Rick. This is really scary. Yeah, okay, whatever.
After apparently fleeing.
Remember, the cops didn't even shoot the bad guys didn't even shoot at the cops. Didn't even point a gun at them. Didn't even try to chase them. The bad guys just turned the other way and went, it's two cops. They're just paid to drive around anyway.
The scene of a shooting that unfolded right in front of them. Sources tell me it happened near Schoolcraft in Greenfield back on June 30th.
This incident is troubling, and it is unfortunate, and it's not consistent with our training. It's also not consistent with the expectations that are set by myself and my command team.
Expectations. Well, that's a word you don't hear in law enforcement too much. Supreme Court says you don't have to do anything. Most agencies say you don't have to do nothing. Then when you do something, guess what? You're protected. You can't be sued. And you won't be charged because the DA don't want to charge cops. So what's the expectations? I'm lost. Your expectation isn't that you put two females in a car and they're both incompetent to be out there and they've been being carried by the male officers since they got hired, and now the first time they're on scene and can stop a shooting of an innocent unarmed person, they run and hide? What exactly is your expectations, Mr. Chief?
Team.
Interim Police Chief James White addressing the officer's response or lack thereof during a press conference Friday. The victim, seen here in the blue shirt, was struck but survived. A sedan pulled up in front of him. A man in the backseat hung outside the window and opened fire with the semi-automatic rifle. All of it captured on police dash cam. The officers drove off, but at some point turned back around to help the victim.
See, they want to make the cops look good. See, they went back to help the victim. Why didn't they help him when he was getting shot at? Why didn't they just floor it and ram that freaking car? Why didn't they draw their gun and freaking return fire? Why didn't they call it out on the radio? Why didn't they get a description? They didn't do shit. They panicked and they ran like all female cops do. And I tell the story where the girl ran from the freaking shooting and left a cop there shooting by himself. She drove off and they praised her for knowing her limitations. It was okay and it was good that she left if she didn't think she could handle it. And that's what they're going to tell these two women. And you idiots out there are paying freaking taxes out the ass and always saying we need more cops, we need more cops. And you got 50% women out there that don't do shit and you wonder why you get no service and you need more cops. Freaking crazy.
The gunman and driver got away.
What I'm looking to
Gunman and driver got away. Shocking. Wow. Ray Charles saw that shit coming. He knew they were getting away. As soon as you said two female officers sit there, watch the guy get shot, and the guys got away, Ray Charles saw that shit coming.
understand is prior to leaving the scene and returning to provide the assistance, what was the state of mind of the officer? What did they think they were doing? I need to know a lot of things that I don't want to discuss right now, but it has to do with if they were secure enough to take immediate action.
What could they have done in that moment? Could they have drawn and engaged them with...
Oh, absolutely.
This guy, he's on my team. I mean, he's just like, he ain't home. Well, hell yeah, they should have drew. What the? You ask any cop, what do you do if a dude pulls out a gun in front of you and starts shooting at somebody, and all the real cops will say you draw your gun and engage. All the real cops will say that. All the pink panty quota hired because of what bathroom you use or whatever else their hiring standards are. You know, what operations you got planned for your future life to change your freaking driver's license from John to you know, Juliet, whatever the reason they're hired. Most guys that are cops, if they're real cops, they're going to say, of course you draw your gun and freaking engage. Are you kidding me? That's a stupid question.
They have done in that moment? Could they have drawn and engaged them with...
Oh, absolutely. Yes, you pull your gun. He's shooting at somebody. You pull your gun when you're in fear of your life or someone else in fear of their life.
Retired Detroit Assistant Police Chief Steve Dolan tells me the officers in question did not come clean about what happened.
It appears they were hiding something at first because, again, it came to light through a routine investigation.
So they didn't even tell anybody. They found this out. These girls did this and didn't tell anybody if they saw it. They went back and act like heroes, like they were helping a guy that got shot. Which means they didn't fill out police reports that we saw it. They didn't turn over their video in their car that we have video of it because they didn't want to look bad. So they were involved in a huge cover-up and lie and obstruction of an investigation. And you know what? Nobody will charge them. They will get handled with quick-get gloves. They will be promoted to jobs to where they don't have to go out on the mean, bad streets, and they'll get the desk jobs when cops have been working the streets for 20 years would like a desk job, and they will give them to these women. And then you'll be running around picking on male cops saying, why do male cops always crack on female cops? Why do they always say female cops? Oh my God, if you dealt being in a freaking police agency with women, you would know what we're talking about. So don't even mention it if you ain't been there.
of the cameras. And the supervisor said, hey, wait a minute. So it wasn't reported to them right away.
That supervisor sent it up the chain, prompting an investigation and the immediate suspension of the female officer who was behind the wheel.
I think what's
See, female officer kind of got slid in this one behind the wheel. They didn't say the other one was a female officer too.
disconcerting probably for citizens is, you know, and I don't want to generalize, however, we see a lot of instances where unarmed individuals are given a hard time by the police.
This guy makes a great point. Cops are out there harassing legally armed citizens, but I think he said armed. Was it unarmed or armed?
Is, you know, and I don't want to generalize, however, we see a lot of instances where unarmed individuals are given a hard time by the police. And police say they...
Oh, he's saying unarmed people, cops will attack and beat you up, and then they're tough. But when somebody's got a gun, they don't do shit. Well, that's why the Second Amendment's there. When government knows that he has unarmed victims, they're going to treat you like a victim. Why don't you just give up your gun? I've always said gun control is extremely racist. Democrats don't want to say it. They don't want black people having guns. They don't think black people are smart enough to get an ID to vote. They don't think black people are smart enough to make it without the government. They don't think black people are smart enough to vote on issues. They must vote for the party that says you need us. And they don't think black people ought to have guns. Gun control is about the racist thing. I mean, I hear racism thrown out a lot in a lot of places. Let me tell you something. Democrats don't like their vote in public getting shot by the cops and having guns because they don't think they're responsible enough to have them. They would rather them be victims than be well-armed, educated citizens.
Fear for their lives. Well, this was an actual shooting in progress that the officers witnessed, and they didn't engage the threat.
Former Detroit...
And I'm going to go one step further, like I thought he was saying in the first point. You'll see cops harassing legally armed citizens who are lawfully carrying a gun, and they'll come up and be a badass. But they won't mess with a real crook with a real weapon because they're freaking pussies.
Police Chief Ralph Godby says cops are supposed to be the people who run to danger, not away from it.
Do we get hired to die? No, but we do understand that there's a risk inherent with what we do. But that risk is for the greater good of society.
Individualized incidents do not represent the hard work of the over 2,000 men and women of this department.
Oh, here we go. The old isolated incident. This is the only time you're going to see this. This never happens. And, you know, when we found out about it, we were just as shocked as you are. That's all bullshit. They know this goes on. They just ignore it until it comes out with something like this. And then they have to act shocked because otherwise they would have to admit, we know that hiring women doesn't work. We know that women aren't as strong as men. We know they don't go to calls, and we know they usually run from danger, and they don't have the meat-eater killer instinct that the guys do. We already know that, but we have to act like we don't know it because it's not PC to say the truth. It's PC to give comforting lies instead of hard truths.
That they do day in and day out.
Chief White says he's waiting for the officer that's on medical leave to get back to work before they wrap up this investigation.
That means they're going to suspend her when she comes back to work. She knows that, so she don't want to come back to work, so she's saying she's stressed. That's what that means, people. He's going to wrap up the investigation. He's going to suspend her, too. And they'll suspend them, and they'll say you're suspended for 2 days without pay because you failed to represent the agency, you left a citizen to dry, you didn't report. I bet they don't even say that you left. I bet they discipline them for trying to hide it and not delivering it. That's what they're going to get disciplined for. Had they just said it, they probably wouldn't have got anything. But because they tried to hide it and they found out, that's why they're getting disciplined.
And make a decision on both of their futures with DPD.
Wow. Wow. You got to love it. I mean, freaking cops watching a drive-by shooting, and all they do is run the other way. Diversity is our strength. Y'all have a good day. We'll end that there, a little earning the hate from the Detroit police. All right.